if we look at chords 1, 4, and 5, these are called the primary triads. This is the technical name for those. We've got the primary triads. That's because they're the most important ones. That will become obvious when we start doing the cadential changes and the cadences. You can also see that 2, 3, and 6 here. 2, 3, and 6. Well, if these are my primary triads, 1, 4, and 5, then the minors are going to be my secondary triads. And then what we've got left over, straggling behind, is chord 7. We call it the leading note chord, okay? Let me put some colours on this, just so that you can see what I'm tying in here. Yeah, so there is my primary triads. So it's 1, 4, and 5. Minors are sad, so let's bang those on there. So we've got 2, 3, and 6. Wobbly Bob's been on the G and T, and he's still sucking a lemon from that old cocktail that he's put together out of all the bits and bobs that he's found in a cupboard that you'd forgotten were there from Christmas. There we go. You can see there's a direct correlation between the scale degree and the triad in the key, okay? Now, this is one level of naming these chords, these triads, okay? I'm going to take these Roman numerals. I'm going to show you the names of these, the proper technical names. And I'm actually going to put chord 1 up here again, because that's going to come in important. Now, the first chord is called the tonic. Now, I think that makes sense because it's the tone that defines the key. Now, if you think about Superman, for instance, he's more than an ordinary man. So it's more than. Now, if you think about it, by moving up to the next degree here, what we get is we get something called the supertonic. Okay, so this is the name for this one here. Now, the next chord we get, I'm going to miss this one for now because I want to jump straight ahead to chord 5 because I want to show you something. Right? Now, if you look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is the furthest away, is this one here, chord 5. Okay? When it comes to creating tension and release, chord 5, it's called the dominant. And I'm just going to put dom in there because it means dominant. It bullies the key. If you want to do stuff with your chords here, the dominant is the most amenable because it's the chord with the most tension. You can alter the dominant, you can make it diatonic within the key, but there's things you can do to this chord that are amazing. This is why this chord is kind of the center of the key. And this is why when we look at how cadences are formed, it also informs me of how the names come about. So chord 5, what it always wants to do, because it's the most tense chord and with the most dissonance, it always wants to go to chord 1. And this is something that happens. So you can see that it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We go down 5 chords. Now, here's the thing. For years, I thought to myself, this is called the subdominant. Now, subdominant, you might think, is that because it's less? It makes sense because supertonic is one more. Super is more, sub is less. But I remember watching some Bernstein thing. Basically, was if we go from the 4 chord, 2, 3, 4, 5, what you can see is we get this. It's trying to get back to 1 there. It creates a different kind of tension, okay? But that's the reason it's called the subdominant, because it's 5 chords away, 5 triads away from the tonic that is above. So we've got a tonic there, we've got a tonic there, but it's still going to move in that same way. And then what ends up happening is we end up with this kind of idea here. That's the center of what can become the new key. This is really how tetrachords work. I'm not getting into tetrachords, but this would make sense then how all these other chords come about. Now, I said that chord 7, we call it the leading note chord because that wants to lead you back to the tonic. If you think about do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Yeah, ti, do. That's what we're thinking then. But when it comes to the naming protocol here, if I look at chord 3, what happens is we get the mediant. Right, now the mediant is the middle. And if we think about it, 1 to 5, that's the range that we have. We have 5 chords there, and in the middle we get the 3 chord. So really, that's in between that. So we get this little structure that forms there, that the 5 wants to go to the 1, but we also get this median in the middle. And then what happens is, chord 6 is called the submediant. Now the thing is, if it was the submediant, you might think to yourself, hang on, the supertonic should be the submediant, but it isn't, because it's all about this movement here from chord 1 to the subdominant. It's a dominant below the upper tonic. This is the upper tonic, this is the lower tonic. So in between that, we get this submediant. I hope you're all with me on this one, guys. All we really need to do is to understand and learn the names. I just think that pattern, that little helix thing that goes on there with the dominants to the tonics and the mediants on either side, that's what connects all the keys. But that makes sense of why these things are called. That's not the subdominant because it's below the dominant. It's the subdominant because it's the dominant from the upper tonic. And this is the submediant because it's below the upper tonic as well. So look, in between the upper tonic and the subdominant, we get the submediant. And that makes sense. Hopefully it's the midway point. That's the middle, okay? There are other ways we can name these chords as well. Now, I know that I've called this the tonic, supertonic, mediant, subdominant, dominant, submediant, and leading note chord. But what we can also do is we can split these down by function. So we've got functions as well. We can divide all these chords now into 3 classes. It's almost like you can summarize the sound of these chords, because what we're doing essentially, when we're creating tension or releasing, there's 3 things that happen. The tonic, a tonic sound, if you think about it, the tonic is chord 1. And if we run up the scale, we said do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. You can hear that if I just went up to the leading note, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. Can you feel the tension of wanting to resolve to that note? Do. Because you need to finish that sound. So we essentially have 3 types of sound. Now, what happens is tonic sounds, they stabilize. They're very stable. They're stable and they release. They feel like you are home. So we've got the tonic. And then once we go from the tonic, we've got to go somewhere else. And really, like I explained it, it's like a movie that we're creating with music. We need to get to the cliffhanger, to the climax, and that's where the dominant lives. That's where the most tension is. That's because it's the furthest away from chord 1. This subdominant is the furthest away from the upper tonic. So we get something called the subdominant class. I think of this as it's moving, it's going somewhere, it's traveling, it's en route, and it's moving us towards something that is going to happen. So we've got the tonic, we've got the sub, and then what happens is we get the dominant. This is our tension sound. This creates the tension. This is the drama. And this is why the dominant is, the chord 5 is so magnificent, is because you can put notes from outside the key in there with it, and it creates all sorts of clashes. And that's the best place to put them. And this chord here is the secret to outside playing in jazz. When you hear chords and you think to yourself, you're listening to jazz. Well, what I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to write down your common sort of chord moves that you can do.